Hey guys, welcome to the Hoan Zone, where we help you multiply the assets that you own. I'm Hoan. In today's video, we're going to be talking about a very heated discussion. Should you rent or buy your home? That one, man, there's so many people on both sides of the fence. People automatically say when you rent your house, you are just throwing away money. Well, is that the end of the story? Case closed? Or is there an argument to be made that when you pay for closing costs, finance fees, property taxes, property insurance, maintenance, that those are all throwaway items as well? Let's get into it. But before we do, please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon, because I'm going to release a video every Monday and Wednesday on the Hoan Zone so that you are never alone. In my short 11 years as a real estate investor, I've amassed a multi-million-dollar rental portfolio. But wait for it, I still rent where I live. That throws people for a major loop. They just can't believe it. They say, oh my God, Hoan, I can't believe you still rent. That's throwing away money. Oh my gosh, it just doesn't make any sense. You own all of these properties and you rent? That's not the American dream. Well, you know what I can't believe? That you haven't hit the like button yet. So go down there and crush that thing. Go hit that like button for me, please. Now, whether I rent or own, that does not change the fact that I am living my American dream. I get to build a multi-million-dollar portfolio using other people's money. And that's nothing more than just an idea. It's where I take some money from over here, I buy a property over here, I refinance that thing, I pay that off, I still own the property, I collect rental income, all of that great stuff, right? Like that, to me, is the American dream right there. So I get to live that whether I rent or own. And now whether you rent or own, stay till the end, because I'm going to show you how you can do both strategies and save 30% while doing it. Whether you own or rent, one of the big factors is lifestyle considerations. Do you have a family? Do you have kids? Do you need the space? Do you need the extra bedrooms? Not saying that if you rent, you can't have kids, because there are millions of people who currently have kids and rent their place. So don't think about it that way, where you have to own a house, but you want to take that consideration in. Do you want to have that stability where you are not tied to a landlord who could potentially change their mind about whether they want to rent to you or not? So you may have to uproot if you are renting. So that is one of the benefits of owning a property. Now, the other consideration is your job. Does the job you have, is it going to cause you to remain where you are? Or do you move around a lot? Like, I remember my wife, when she used to have a consulting job, she used to fly in and out every single week. She would spend four days out of the week at her job, and then she would come back. So maybe you don't need all that house, right? And so a house being one of the biggest purchases that a person ever does in their life, you have to take that into consideration. Do you have to necessarily buy a house and pay all of the costs to buying a house when you don't spend most of your time there anyway? Also, do you have a lot of free time to dedicate to things like maintenance and yard work, right? A house has a lot of upkeep. And with a rental property, now, if you're renting from a person who has a single family home and you are responsible for all the yard work, well, it's kind of like owning a house. But if you live in an apartment complex where all of the maintenance is taken care of for you, like the yard work, the snow removal, things like that, as well as the maintenance on the inside, maybe renting is more your style. The part that I like to hone in on, you like that, is the cost of it. When you purchase a house, there are a lot of costs associated. So you're going to have to put a down payment. That's number one. Now, that's not necessarily a cost, but that is money out of your pocket, right? It is just trapped in equity. Your cash is now in the form of equity. So you got your down payment, but you also have to pay for your lender fees. You're also going to have to pay for your property taxes, your property insurance, your title insurance. You're also going to have to pay for appraisals. Oh, don't forget inspection. There's a lot of costs when it goes to buying a house. When you go to rent, first, last, security. Pretty simple. So when you're comparing costs, renting just like it blows away the buying the house. In terms of the thing that people like to argue with is appreciation. Of course, when you buy a house, they're like, oh, you're building, you own it long term, it's going to appreciate, versus what you rent, you don't have it anymore. Yes, that may be true, but it can also depreciate. And I don't mean the tax term. I mean, it can literally just be worth less, right? And if you intend on staying at a property for 30 years, the neighborhood can go either way. It can go up or down, right? And that has happened, right? There are pockets in the city that have went down and never came back up. So that happens. So yes, appreciation does happen, but so does depreciation. The other thing that a lot of people never really consider is liability. When you are a renter in a property, you don't have any liability really. Everything falls on the owner of the building. And if that's not you, then that's a worry that you just don't have. So that's something that you want to consider. Also, maintenance. Maintenance does not increase the value of your home. So people talk about how their improvements make the value of their house more. And yes, improvements might, right? Like let's say you add an additional bathroom, an additional bedroom, finish the basement, all that kind of stuff. Fantastic, adds value. But maintenance, where your heater no longer works. Well, when I'm buying a house, I expect a heater to be in there and working. So the fact that it has one that you just repaired, I'm not paying you more because you fixed your heater. I expected it to always be working. Or if you have a roof leak, again, I expect the roof to be good. So I'm not paying you extra just because you spent $5,000 on a roof. So maintenance does not increase the value of your house. It is just a cost in your pocket. The other funny one is the honeydew, right? The honeydew. And I don't mean the fruit. I mean like, hey, honey, I'd like a new kitchen. And the kitchen, even if you upgrade it, may not increase the value because you might have bought at market value with the kitchen that's in there. Just because you want to add new cabinets doesn't mean that the value is going to go up, because the cabinets before and the cabinets that you put in after, they may be the same. They're just different color or style. So it doesn't add value. People talk about loan to value keeping you safe when you buy a property. Loan to value is just a moment in time. So today I buy a house, let's say it's $500,000. And so let's say I go out and get a loan, and I get a loan for $400,000. So the loan to value is 80%. If the value is determined to not be $500,000 in the future, and actually like it should have been $400,000, well, then I'm at 100% loan to value. So this loan to value idea that it's going to keep you safe, yes and no, because values are all an opinion. And so you could be underwater and not really know it, even if you put a down payment on the house. And where that is going to pop up is right now in 2021, interest rates are super low, which means values are super high. What happens is if the interest rates go up, which that may be the only direction they can go in, if the interest rates go up, the values come down. All of a sudden, you see how you put your down payment, you put $100,000 down on a $500,000 property, but really the value is $400,000. So you think you have equity, but you really don't. So it might save you a little bit, but you're upside down and you don't even know it. And that's the trap that a lot of people don't know that they're actually in. But if you don't move, if you don't sell the property, it doesn't hurt you. Just be mindful of that. That's just something that people don't talk about. So when you rent, it doesn't matter what's happening in the economy. It doesn't matter what the value of the house is. None of that matters. It's fantastic. It's kind of like having a house with no responsibilities other than having to pay your rent. That's a beautiful thing. There's something to be said about just being easy, right? And I'm not telling you not to buy your house. If you want to buy your house, fantastic, buy your house, but just know what it is, know what responsibilities come with it. And then also consider renting is maybe what you actually should do, but too many people buy a house just because that's what they're supposed to do. And I don't like that. I don't like you having to have a supposed to do. I want you to have your own plan, your own life, and I want you to make decisions, smart decisions, based on what you learn. And by coming to this channel, you're going to learn a lot. But we definitely can't gloss over the mental stigma of renting, right? It's not the American dream. There's this term, this American dream. But you know what I'm really curious about? Who came up with the name American dream? Was it the Americans buying the house? Or maybe it was a really smart banker who said, how can we get more people to get loans from us, and where we can charge them all these fees for those loans? Oh, I know. It's all about branding. How about we say that buying a house is an American dream? And if you buy your house, you've made it, right? And so now what I've done as a banker is I've locked you in to a loan for 30 years, meaning you're going to pay me for the next 30 years. And that's fantastic. My job is done. I made the bank a lot of money, which means I made a lot of money. So be very careful. There's this almost like ego part of it. And I don't necessarily want you to buy into that. If you want to own a house, own the house. But don't do it because you're supposed to and that you're following the American dream and all that, because, that's just marketing. And there's this idea that rent is just throwing away money. Guys, it is not throwing away money. When you pay rent, you are paying for the service of living at that house. Why is it that when you pay rent, that's throwing away money, but when you do anything else where it's a service that they provide you, that it's not throwing away money? It's just you're paying to live there, and that's it. It's not throwing away money, because if you want to talk about throwing away money, I spoke about it earlier. Think about all the closing costs, all the fees, all of the insurance, all of the taxes, all of those things that you have to pay for when you own a house. Is that throwing away money? I think so. I mean, it could be argued that it is, right? Because none of those things, none of those fees, none of those costs add any value to the house. It doesn't increase your equity. It doesn't increase your net worth. So it can be argued that that's all throwaway money. And if you don't live in the house long enough, right? If you do like a break-even analysis, if you don't live in the house long enough and you buy a house, sell it, buy a house, sell it, buy a house, sell it every couple years, you're really losing money. You're really throwing away money, right? And all because you wanted to buy into this notion of American dream. So again, just do the math and make your own decisions. Be a strong person on your own and not buy into the marketing and what everybody else is telling you. Don't fall for the mental stigma, right? Get over that. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Everybody has read that book, right? He talks about an asset is something that puts money in your pocket, and a liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. And your house is a liability because it just takes money. You're paying the taxes, the mortgage, the maintenance, all that kind of stuff. The honey-do list. Just because your CPA tells you that it's an asset, I don't know. Who do you want to listen to? Do you want to listen to Robert Kiyosaki, who has built a multi-million-dollar business through real estate and other businesses, where he's telling you about putting more money in your pocket, acquiring assets, cash flow, things like that? Or do you want to listen to your CPA, who's just looking at your balance sheet and he's not considering that there's this concept of cash flow will set you free? So just be very careful who you take your advice from. CPA, wonderful person, I'm sure, right? But you really want to take a look and label things accordingly. If it's taking money out of your pocket, then it's a liability. And if it's putting money into your pocket, it's an asset. So if your house is just costing you money, then it's a liability. And it's okay. There's nothing wrong with owning liabilities. Just know what they're called, label them correctly, and go on with your day, right? I have tons of liabilities, right? My bicycle never paid me, not one time. But I love it, right? The apartment that I live in, again, liability. But I live here and I want to live here. Don't worry about whether you own a liability. It's okay to own liabilities. Just don't call it an asset. So I'd like to hear from you. Comment below. Do you currently own or do you currently rent? And do you agree or disagree with the things that I've said? I know what I've said is blasphemy. It's like, Hoan, you can't rent. You're not allowed to rent. Renting's stupid. Renting's throwing away money. That's dumb. Is it the first time you've heard that maybe the American dream idea is a marketing ploy by a banker? Like, there's something that I really want to uncover here. So let me know how you feel below. For those who made it this far, here's your bonus. Is it possible for you to own and rent? Yes. So this is what I'm talking about. And this one's a little complicated. You might want to take a pencil and paper out and figure it all out. But this one, it's a little advanced. So imagine your LLC, let's call it Hoan Zone LLC, right? Hoan Zone LLC owned a property on 123 Main Street. So Hoan Zone LLC owns a property, 123 Main Street. And then Hoan Tai, the individual, rents out that house, that 123 Main Street. And the landlord is Hoan Zone LLC. So now my company is leasing a property to me personally. And why in the world would I want to do that? Well, it's all about taxes. And like I said, I'm going to show you how to save 30%, meaning you're just not going to pay 30% to the tax man when you're doing this strategy. So here's what's clever. When you buy a house that you live in, you're going to have to pay for your taxes, your insurance, your utilities, all that stuff, right? Even your furniture, and most of that stuff you're going to pay for with after-tax dollars. So if I make $1 from my job, I have to pay 30 cents to the tax man, I have 70 cents left. That 70 cents can be applied to then my insurance, my furniture, my utility bills, and all that kind of stuff. So you see how I don't have a full dollar to buy all that stuff. I only have 70 cents. So that's what I mean by after tax dollars. And so most of you who own a house, you are paying for that stuff with after-tax dollars. And if you're renting, you're also paying for your rent with after-tax dollars. So you have less buying power. You have less money to purchase or rent the places that you live in. So then what's the cool strategy? Well, maybe I rent from myself and the LLC that owns the property, maybe that LLC rents out a property where all utilities are covered, where all furniture is covered. It's all within the lease, and the lease that I pay to the LLC is exactly the amount that is needed to cover all the bills. So let me break that down a little bit finer. Hoan Zone LLC is in the business of renting out fully furnished, all utilities paid, beautiful houses for people, and that person or people would be me, right? So I'm going to be renting this place, and so I'm going to have this perfectly furnished house that all utilities included, and I pay, let's say, $2,000 a month. Hoan Zone LLC gets to pay for all of the utilities, all of the furniture, all of that stuff with before tax dollars, because it is in my business plan and my business model to pay for that stuff. As a business, I get to pay for all of my stuff related to my business with before tax dollars. And let's pretend like I pay $2,000 a month towards the mortgage, towards utilities, towards the insurance, towards the taxes, all of that kind of stuff, right? So when Hoan Thai pays $2,000 a month to the landlord, which is Hoan Zone LLC, all of a sudden, Hoan Zone LLC takes that money, pays all its bills, and at the end of the day, makes no money. It has zero on the book. So I don't have to pay any tax. Well, Hoan Zone LLC doesn't have to pay any taxes, paid for all that stuff with before tax dollars, and Hoan Thai, the person, gets to live in this house that's fully furnished and all that stuff, right? And so it's a wonderful strategy where it's all included with before tax dollars. So run that one by your CPA, do the math on it, see how you like it. But that one, just as a bonus, just as an idea, just to show you what's possible, like think about that one, chew on that one a little bit, and I think you're gonna like it after you work it all out. But as always, little disclaimer: I'm not a CPA, I'm not an attorney, I am not anything, right? I'm just a guy on YouTube helping you become richer. But if you like that strategy and you want to hear more about it, definitely go check out hoanzone.com, because I have a whole bunch of courses on there. And so one of the courses that I will be hosting will have this information on there. I will break it down into finer details so that you know exactly what to do if you are trying to implement this strategy in your own life. This video can go on, and the conversation will be super heated, but I just wanted to put a couple points out there. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you got any value, again, hit that like button, subscribe, hit the bell icon, share the video with somebody who you think should hear about this, and I will catch you in the next video. See you guys. Peace.